This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome to the Supreme Resort, Land v. World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. Each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort, ride by ride, land by land, park by park, to determine which is better. I'm your host, Jimmy.
Clear throat.
Just need to clear my throat for a minute, just to make sure. It's been a while, guys. I'm your host, Jimmy, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity answer this long, elusive question: which is better, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Joining me, as always, throat clear as a bell, that's Dan.
Hi. We're back.
And we're back. We also have Eric. You may have heard him from the last couple of episodes, Eric.
I'm responsible for this mess.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we
also, you'll know him from the 2 episodes about Run Disney and from Puny Pod, our producer and guest extraordinaire. That's David. Hi, David.
Also, Boys and Boy. Let's not lose that credit.
He's a Boys and Boy.
Forgot that
He's
credit.
a runner. He's a rugby player, and he might be the sexiest 60-year-old man I've ever seen.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
He's also a host of a certain podcast where they talk about very small things called Puny Pod.
That's right. The Hulk is never mentioned. It's an Ant-Man only
It's all
podcast.
Ant-Man.
It's all Ant-Man.
It is a quantum realm based podcast where
That's
we
right.
go very micro detail.
So, David, thank you for joining us. David is also responsible for some of our favorite past guests, your favorite past guest listener, Julie Tremaine. You remember her. That's because of David. Past guests, the lady with the stuff. And other things. David, go ahead and give us your credits.
Hold on. That was Jack Plotnick. He's not a lady, but he plays ladies.
That's right. Jack Plotnick. David also, Gothic Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay,
you can
we'll
take
take credit for it. It's fine.
The
Thank you.
less David says, the more we will pile onto him.
That's right. He has notes. Anyway, so David is responsible for a lot of the content that you have listened to in the episodes so far. Also a friend and a fan. Thank you for being here, David.
Appreciate it.
Also, David just went to Walt Disney World for the first time. So that is the bulk of this episode. But before we get there, David and Eric, have just finished their a 10-mile run at Walt Disney World. If you've not listened to those episodes, go back and listen. They're a lot of fun. They were remotely recorded in their palatial villa at Bonnet Creek Resort, which is technically in the middle of Disney World, but not on Disney property.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
So I would like to hear, after listening to the 2 episodes.
It's
geographically like in the dead center of Disney World.
So there's this weird anus where that's
That's
owned by
incorrect.
someone else.
Or sphincter.
Yes. It is the sphincter of Walt Disney World.
It's the sphincter
that
of
is
Disney
not
World.
Walt Disney
There is a
World.
family who, once they found out Disney was buying the property, said, hell no, we're not going to sell to Disney. And then the people who held out died, gave it to their kids. Their kids are like, oh yeah, here you go, Hilton. So it's across the street from the neighborhood where you can buy on Disney property the ranch. What's the one? It's a Golden Oak. It's across the street.
So it's the most magical sphincter of them all.
Correct.
The most golden of oaks.
That's right.
Yeah.
So my question, now that you've had a before episode about the races, Run Disney at Disney World, and you had an after. You've had some time to digest. You've slept since then. David, what is your overall impression of Run Disney at Disney World?
Well, as I mentioned on the other show, I've never done a Run Disney race. I don't think I've ever even done a competitive race before. I mean, not that it was like hyper competitive, but I thought it was really well done. It's a great environment. It's fun to run through the parks. They have fine-tuned. It seems pretty well organized. There's not much you can really kind of complain about in terms of the way in which it was run. It was started very early in the morning. And I operated on very few hours of sleep. But the adrenaline kicked in, and I had a really, really fun time running with my buddy Eric and with my daughter Olivia. It was fun.
So one thing that I
question.
missed.
I have a
Sorry,
question.
go ahead, Dan.
Do you still have nightmares of the balloon ladies?
I sadly did not see the balloon ladies.
Oh.
I did not, and we'll get into it when we talk about this part. I studiously avoided researching like Run Disney or even Walt Disney World in advance of the trip. I just kind of wanted to be surprised and see. I was told about the balloon ladies. Mike said he got swept up one time, but I have not seen them.
Okay, so my question, having listened to both, and forgive me, Eric, if I overlooked or did not hear it, but I would like to hear, start to finish, where you went in the race. Where did it start? Where did you run? Where did you end up? Because I know you talked about different parts of it, but I don't feel like I could see in my mind's eye the map of where you went. I don't want to ask David because he's probably a little more unfamiliar with the property. So, Eric, where did you start? Where did you finish? And what was the route?
That's fair. Yeah. And that's what
She said.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is what she said. But what she said was, we started out on a route that was near Epcot Center, and we ran through basically Epcot itself, like the World Showcase. So early on, you're running through the World Showcase. You're saying hi in various languages to
Hola,
Guten Tag.
ni hao, bonjour,
Bonjour. Okay.
hello,
Italy.
Hello.
konnichiwa,
And in Canada, it's like a weird version of French.
buongiorno.
Moroccan hello.
And then you ran along the very narrow trip between Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
The World Show Place and that whole. Did you run on the boardwalk side or the Swan and Dolphin side, or the Beach Club boardwalk? Beach Club,
you
Yacht
went
Club.
beyond all of that. Yeah, you kind of ran along the boardwalk side and then went on this narrow strip between the boardwalk side and the Swan and Dolphin.
Did you run
resorts.
under the bridge, under the road?
Over them? Yeah, you went along the water toward Hollywood Studios, and then once you got past there, you ran around the whole thing.
The Hollywood
Yeah.
Studios. Okay.
Yeah, and David went, I would like to visit this place.
While you were running?
And
Yes.
then when you visited it, this is a question for later. When you visited it, did you change your mind? Did you tell him that he should call it 856 our ears to plan
That's
a trip?
right.
And yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, I'm running a race. Okay.
Eric's like, I refuse to
Hey,
answer
bro.
this question. You must call 856 our ears.
Yeah.
Eric, so did you run into the front gates of Hollywood Studios and down the Main Street or whatever it's called?
Yeah, pretty much. And then you went west.
Okay,
And then you ran through Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge.
How did you
we went-
exit the park?
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge.
That was a
I'm
question.
with you. I'm with you.
How do you exit the park?
On foot.
Oh my God. David, can you fill in? Do you remember what happened after that?
I remember after
Actually, I'm sorry. Before we move on, fun fact for people. I'm looking at the map. There is a hidden Mickey in the.
Oh, is there a hidden Mickey in the race route?
Yeah. Yes.
Or
There's-
what?
Oh man, I want to look at the map. It's a lot easier. I could explain it for everybody.
I don't remember. I have vague memories of the actual course itself. After we left Hollywood Studios, I think we were just on like freeway after that the whole time.
Mhm.
Cloverleafs up and around, back around, and then
about that.
Yeah, and we ended up at the same parking lot where we began, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it
Okay.
was a boring run down a highway, over a highway, and onto another highway, and then onto another highway. And then we were in a parking lot.
Did you
Yeah.
use the zipper method as you were merging?
I mostly punched people that were coming toward me.
Perfect.
And unfortunately, one of them was a Sally. And Olivia hit back.
Okay, so it looks like from the map.
I lost 20 minutes of my runtime after she clocked me right in the face.
I'm deducing from the map and from what you have said that you possibly went through Galaxy's Edge and then came out on Cypress.
Yeah.
Ran behind Hollywood Studios, behind the Tower of Terror, so you could smell the farts of it. And then you went on Cypress. Not many people will know that Tower of Terror is the first fart powered ride at Disney World. I don't know why that's
so you ran around and then go out.
Welcome
Cypress,
to Florida, David. Fart powered rides.
Probably Buena Vista Drive. Went back. And then probably Epcot Resorts Boulevard, which is a good name for something that goes to an Epcot, one of many Epcot resorts.
Yeah, one of the many places where one of David Selly's children punched me in the face. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
And then probably through Epcot International Gateway.
Yeah.
And then...
No, it looks like they went through the parking lot in the front, entered around around Living with the Land. Is what it looks like, and then they go through.
Yeah,
and they went through kind of the front, World Discovery, and then around World. World Discovery into the park. Yeah, okay. Look it up, people. It'll be easier.
Yeah. Look up that route. Don't listen to us, and don't listen to the entertaining aspects where David and his children assaulted me on the way through the end of this trip. And I could have finished several minutes before them if they hadn't,
assaulted,
just thrown me into bushes.
Also, fun fact for fans of Hidden Mickeys, if you were to look at the map and take the round ball of Spaceship Earth, Photoshop the round test track, just kind of above it, and then Photoshop the round part of the seas with Nemo and friends. Also above Spaceship Earth, you would have a Hidden Mickey.
You need to bring in some Tinkerbell magic into that to also help with the circles. Yeah.
Yeah. Tinkerbell is famously a fantastic graphic designer.
That's a lot of highway running.
That is a lot of
highway running.
It appears you ran past the Mickey Mouse solar panel farm.
Where David said, why don't they just make it a big rectangle? Because I feel like they're missing out on some square footage of solar energy.
Yeah.
Is this before or after the children hit you in the face?
He's right.
It was both. It was actually during.
And listener, you may have noticed that the blows may have given Eric a concussion. So David, again, thank you for joining. Really, folks, if you have not listened, listen back to the.
Wait, David's here?
Listen back to the 2 episodes of the Run Disney. It's a lot of fun. Also, the founder of Concierge is a part of that. That's Mike Renfro. He was there. So listen to that. And then in the meantime, we wanted to have a follow-up conversation with David, not just about Run Disney, which you just heard, but also about his first experience to Walt Disney World. This is the first time to Florida in his life.
I'm sorry.
I've been to Florida for work, but I've never been to Orlando. I've never been to Miami.
It's no life then. Okay, so let me rephrase. This is David's first trip to Disney World. But before we explain why that's significant, I have some questions for David. David, for context, you're a lawyer.
Sure. Oh, no.
So first of all, just so the jury understands the significance of your trip to Disney World, how many times have you been to Disneyland?
So I'm not going to get sworn in, right? I'm just going right into it.
No, you're not allowed to swear. We'll have to beep it.
Okay. I would say I've probably been, I was thinking about probably 40 times or so, 40 to 50 times.
Let the record show 40 to 50 times.
Oh, wow.
I have been an annual pass holder, key holder member for maybe the last 10 or so.
Wait, at which
Give or take.
Disney park? Yeah, you got to be.
I'm sorry, at
Disneyland.
Walt
Disneyland
Disney's-
Resort.
Walt
Disneyland.
Disney's-
Disney California.
Walt Disney. Yeah, I just got it. I had a Downtown Disney membership for a long time. And then
I think it's just a Starbucks punch card.
And then I converted that to the DCA key and then finally updated it and conclude Disneyland.
Okay, so this is a Disneyland Resort annual pass holder, give or take. Maybe there's a couple years there you couldn't go because of shutdowns, et cetera. So you've been an annual pass holder off and on for the most part for the last 10 years. Been 40 times. You do not live in Orange County. You live in Northern California.
That is correct.
So this isn't just something on a whim you can go to. When was your first
I feel targeted
visit?
by that comment, and I don't live in Orange County. Okay.
I mean, he doesn't live that much further away from it than you do.
Short flight.
Sure.
Who lives from where? Yeah.
Okay. David, load up your Google Maps, and we're going to account for current traffic. Okay.
Okay. All right.
If you were to drive to Mickey and Friends parking structure, how long would it take you? I'm looking it up myself.
Let me get my keys.
Okay,
Mickey,
hang on.
While you're looking
Mickey
it up.
and Friends.
And
Pretty
Friends
soon,
parking
David is going to tell
structure.
us when his first trip to Disneyland was.
Okay.
In the meantime, we're going to hear just how long it'll take
And
David to drive.
Friends parking.
It would take me 1 hour and 55 minutes in
Dan is
current
currently
traffic.
1 hour and 55 minutes away. This is a
6 hours.
Saturday afternoon.
On a
6
good day,
hours.
it's less than that. How many?
On a
6
good
hours,
day.
5 minutes.
6 hours.
Okay.
Oh, I've got 14 hours and 12 minutes, Jimmy.
Oh,
Mine, 2,700 hours. David is...
Jimmy's walking it sounds like.
Yeah. You ran a 10-miler, just watch.
To answer your question, first time I went, I remember going as a little kid. My mom did not have a car, so I remember flying on a plane. I think that was my first time on a plane. I remember throwing up into a vomit bag.
nice.
Yeah, it was pretty. And
You show
since then
that plane. You show it.
Since then, I've had a love of flying on commercial planes. I remember going to SeaWorld in San Diego and have vague memories of Disneyland, but that was the first time. And then I didn't go again until my kids were very young and then started going. That was probably going with my kids starting around 2005 or so.
So how many vomits were from your children and how many were from you?
It was all for me on that one flight.
Okay.
I had never experienced turbulence before, and the plane smelled funny.
Little known
After
fact.
vomit, that makes sense.
Yeah. Little known fact, vomit is a dissolving agent of airplane door nuts. So
That's
David
how
might
you
be-
escape from an airplane. Vomit.
David might be
onto-
responsible for the falling off doors of Boeing airplanes.
So Boeing, you can stop killing off your
That's right.
your whistleblowers and just blame it on the people flying.
Okay, David. So you've been going since you were a kid, but in earnest, you've been going for, let's say, 20 years.
Sounds about right. Yep.
In earnest, as an adult, as a grown ass man, as they say. So you've mostly experienced Disneyland as an adult. So you don't really have a ton of childhood nostalgia. You weren't like an annual pass holder as a teenager. You were a Disney adult, for lack of a better term.
Yep, I would say that's right. Mostly experiencing it through my kids when I would take them, and they really enjoyed it.
But you also now go sans children from time to time.
Correct. Yep.
What is your favorite ride at all of the Disneyland resorts?
It's probably the Astro Orbiter with an E. No, I'm kidding. It's I would say in Disneyland it would be Rise of the Resistance, and in DCA it would be Grizzly. And I have
Grizzly
a
River Run.
bone of contention about the episode with the best ride queue, single rider queue, which I
so do
still
I.
believe is
And we're out of
Grizzly.
time. Thank you for joining us, David.
Hey.
You had a great trip to Disney World. Concierge 856 Our Ears. You can. Oh, sorry. There's more.
Your attention, please.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, and there's so much to share. With classics like Caramel Brulee Latte, Peppermint Mocha, and Chestnut Praline Latte, we're celebrating everyone's flavor of festivity. Order yours in the app.
David, you're not eligible for comment on previous episodes, but you do believe that Grizzly River Run is the best single rider line?
I think it's very good in the sense that it is always fast. Eric and I talked about some of the single rider cues. There's like an anticipation sensation if you're like at the front of the single rider and you keep getting passed over and over and over again, like Matterhorn. Like it can be rather frustrating when you just aren't getting on. And we'll take 3s and 2s. And it's a big time saver.
Sure.
It's you're on pretty quickly. I don't think it has the creep factor that you all talked about. I think it's actually, you're in a boat with obviously a bunch of people you don't know, but I find it to be a little more sociable. So,
well, creep factor is also subjective.
I need to find a creepier theme song to go along with this.
Any of the listeners, do you have in your mind playing the song that is coming up in my head that sounds like maybe a Disney or Nickelodeon sort of song of a children's learning show called Anticipation Sensation? Anticipation Sensation. I don't know. Anyway, so he said that earlier.
That's not the song.
One of the things I like about this show is we are talking about incredibly subjective matters, and we try to be as objective as possible. But there's no way anyone in their right mind would say that Web Slingers is the best single rider line. How we landed there, I think, was well executed.
It seemed to revolve around what's air conditioned and what's not in the sun, and that seemed to be like the number one criteria.
And David, because this subjectivity of the nature of these parks, if you were the host or judge, of the show, we were to do it all over again, we could have gotten 100 different people and gotten 100 different answers, right? So your opinion is not valid.
And that's our next episode.
Okay, so favorite rides are Rise of the Resistance and Grizzly River Run. You prefer that single rider line. It's good to know. All right, now moving on to Walt Disney World. Before you went, what are the top 5 things that you knew you wanted to do outside of running 10 miles that you wanted to do at Disney World?
So not die was the number one.
Step one.
Oh,
step one.
Okay.
I was, it's funny, as I mentioned before.
You didn't die.
I did not die.
So, mission accomplished.
Yep.
Mission accomplished. Eric was there, so I did no pre-trip work. I didn't research things. I didn't look at ride-throughs. I didn't look at videos. And so I didn't have, I really want to eat here, or we really want to see this show for the most part. So I wanted to kind of come in as uninformed as possible. So I raised my brain in the last several years of this podcast, and then so for me, the things I really were looking forward to were some of the really unique rides that you all have talked about. So things like Motorcycle Space Mountain, the Tron ride, and Soarin' Over Pandora. I was looking forward to that one.
Okay.
And Remy's. Those were like the 3. I think those are the 3 rides I really wanted to do. And then just to compare, all the rides that I was familiar with, that I'm very familiar with from Disneyland. So like the mountains, and Small World, Haunted Mansion, all that, and Pirates. So those were
So is that all considered one thing? So not die is number 1, not number 2 is all those rides, or are those?
Yeah, I kind of cheated a little bit, Jimmy. I said
there's a lot.
There's a lot. I probably have over 5, but I like I said, it was the 3 unique rides. It was experiencing the Rent Disney event, not getting swept, and then just some of the comparison rides. So
I don't believe he went on that ride. He does not know what that means.
We totally went on.
Yes,
and there were 3 of you.
Mexican boat party. That was
no, because he had his kids stand.
Oh,
there were 5 of us.
Why'd you ruin it and let your kids ride? You should have done your 3 Caballeros ride of the 3 Caballeros ride.
I insisted that they ride a different boat, but they wouldn't go.
Did we ever in this show, have we ever found an analog for Grand Fiesta Tour?
Monsters.
Yeah,
that's right.
We did a whole show on it.
As a matter of fact.
I totally won.
All right, now, David. Okay, so you did basically all the 5 things you wanted to do. You did.
Yep, I did. I had, like I said, I had a few preconceived rides and the event, and then just experience it, just having kind of an open mind and perspective just on things. And so, yeah.
So in thinking about Disney World, having been to Disneyland, let's say 50 times over the course of your lifetime, most of that being over the last 20 years, having never been, having listened to podcasts about it, having, just in the zeitgeist or whatever, what did you expect overall? What was your overall expectations about what Disney World would feel like? What would it be?
It's a good question. I felt like it was going to just be, without knowing anything, just a larger version of Disneyland and DCA. I just thought it was just, imagine that and just, multiply it by 5. And it wasn't quite like that. There were certainly parts, I think part of it might've been like the order in which we went to the different parks. So we started at Animal Kingdom day 1, bopped over to Epcot. We didn't get to Hollywood Studios until day 3. And so the thing I kind of noticed early on, first 2 days didn't really feel like I was in a Disney park. There was no like theming in like the parking lot areas. Obviously Animal Kingdom, it's not like you're going to see some elements, but you're not going to see like heavy Disney influences, if you will. I will say that words do not describe how large the parks are, and the parking lots are ginormous, and everything is just, I was unprepared for how massive it is.
Yeah, if you were to tell me you were going to run 10 miles, you could have just run around Epcot's parking lot a few times.
Yeah, totally. It is bonkers how large that place is. And so I had I didn't really know too much about how like the logistics of things. Everything is a shuttle or a lift. There is no sidewalk. There is no walking to the parks.
With the exception, clearly, between Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Which you ran as part of our paid 10-mile
very,
run.
Very limited exception. And of course, you can walk between the Polynesian and Magic Kingdom and the Contemporary Magic Kingdom, but you can't walk from the Polynesian to Contemporary without going around the lake, which is kind of dumb. They've connected
everything now.
Have they now?
Yes, they have.
So there's your 5K. Just saying.
I think I'd rather run in the park than
I'm just saying
the hotels.
It would be nice.
But so with that space, one of the things that really kind of jumped out at me is like you go to Disneyland and you can feel when it's crowded. And it's a lot of people, and there are like crowd choke points that I would describe them all throughout Disneyland. Everybody knows where they are, right? And
let's say,
that was
Adventureland.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pirates, it's all over.
Yeah, and most of them are there.
The entrance to Tomorrowland. Up by Small World.
Fantasyland, all of it.
All of Fantasyland.
All of Fantasyland. So, but
going into the crotch of Critter Country.
Bathroom number 3 in Norland Square.
Yeah. So you're saying that the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World is better across the board. All right, let's continue.
Didn't quite say that.
Spoiler warning.
But yeah. So with that part was, so navigating was pretty easy. I think one of the things you talk about oftentimes on the show are the queues, and the queues are really, most of them are very good. Get you out of the sun. I like you have a lot of ride cameras, which I was unprepared for.
For on-ride video, on-ride photos.
There was a great photo of me and the kids, 3 grown-ass adults in one of the Doom buggies at the Haunted Mansion. And it's like, I could put this on a Christmas card. Looks great.
Dan and Eric, really quick. Future March Madness, best on-ride photo.
Ooh.
Yeah, Haunted Mansion.
So are people going to send in their pictures?
Yes.
That's right.
Can I
send in your pictures too?
I was going to send in a picture, but only if it brought one of the presidents with me from the Hall of Presidents.
Oh my God.
Is it Millard Fillmore?
That'd be an wonderful photo op, is you could get your picture taken with
oh my God, right?
President Trapp.
Why don't they do that?
Millard Fillmore.
Oh my God, that'd be great. Anyway, all right. So David, you kind of heard what you kind of expected, and then what your overall impression was. It's no way to describe the size. You liked the indoor queue aspect. You liked the on-ride photo aspect. What overall was the single best thing about Walt Disney World? You come home and somebody says, okay, you can only tell me one thing. What is the best part of Walt Disney World?
Incessant drinking. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, right.
I would say the best thing about Walt Disney World is that it is, because this is going to sound backwards, but because there are fewer rides and attractions, it kind of forces you to spend a little bit more time either with like other elements of the park. And I wasn't there long enough to really do that and say like Epcot or Hollywood Studios, but it seems like there are a lot of exhibits, which I think are kind of cool. And allows you to kind of pay a little bit more attention at times. I think at Disneyland, especially when I go, usually it's like, hey, let's see how many rides we can crush. And there are certain things you kind of want to do as to-dos. And the times when I take the opportunity to just kind of sit back and observe the architecture or something, it's always something new that I see. And so the thing with Walt Disney World, I think that I enjoyed was the fact that there was a lot of attention to detail and just not enough time to do it all. There's so much.
Okay. And that gets us to another question in a minute. But before we get there, what was the most disappointing part of Walt Disney World?
Oh, no.
So I was promised by Eric that there would be a drugged naked man on Small World, and that was not the case. So no Florida man.
He was talking about himself, but
well, okay. All right. Well, you know what? I couldn't find the drugs, and 40 minutes, 21 seconds. All right.
So instead, it was a sober naked man because he couldn't find his drugs.
I'd say that the most. I would say there were probably two things. One, and again, this is just because of the order of the parks I went in. It didn't feel like I was in Disneyland or at Disney Park, I should say, until like day 3. And stuff closes earlier. And I didn't think about the logistics. So the night where we ended up at Magic Kingdom, it's a little bit late. We're trying to get on a couple more rides, and
you dominated the last few hours of rides. Yeah.
Eric and Mike are like, hey man, we're done with this. We're getting out of here.
Mike and I went, all right, we're done.
They're like they're like blackjack dealers in Vegas. They kind of like wipe their hands and they kind of like walk away from the poker deck. But navigating around, we got caught in the fireworks show and we had to go. We were, I guess, on the right side, and we wanted to get over to Jungle Cruise. So we had to come all the way down Main Street, all the way back up. We actually got separated a moment in time, which kind of freaked me out a little bit because I thought they're right behind me. But we were able to get back together. But then
you only have 2 children. Okay?
I only have 2. As long as they come back with both of them. I could come back with one, and that's better than none. But then there was the moment when we got out, and I remember Eric and Mike saying, "Well, you can take a bus to one of the hotels and then take a lift from there." But there was a moment of panic of like, "Oh, there are thousands of people leaving, and the boats are going to be filled, and the shuttle. I'm not going to be able to get a lift for the life of me." And so that was a little moment of panic as opposed to just I'll just traipse back to my hotel or just, walk down Harbor Boulevard, right? Like, so that part I think that's the part that I dislike.
Yeah, the trick there is to walk to the Contemporary, get your lift from there,
which I think,
or monorail.
Okay, yeah, we did. So we took a bus to I don't know someplace. I don't remember.
No, yeah, you went to the Riviera Hotel.
Oh yeah, okay, I think that's right. Yeah, in Vegas, I fell asleep on the bus, and man,
you went to Vegas,
so confused,
and woke up in Walt Disney World. It was fine.
Passed by the Circus.
I have a question, and this might be on your list, and forgive me.
Go ahead.
What was the weirdest, as someone going from one park, from Disneyland, a Disneyland experience to a Disney World experience? What was the weirdest thing, like the most uncanny valley moment for you?
Oh, I would say probably in Animal Kingdom, that little weird dinosaur area.
Oh, okay.
It's a little kitschy.
Oh, wow. The little Carney land that's going away.
Yeah, that struck me.
Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama.
Yeah, it struck me as a little Knott's Berry Farmish.
Sure.
Yeah.
More than a little. Yeah.
More than a little. That was probably the
I think it wishes it was Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Land.
And again, forgive me if I'm stepping on any toes here, but how how was Pirates of the Caribbean part of the weirdness for you? Because to me, that is such a weird. I'm not being. It's not in a critical sense, but like for me, I enjoy riding. I know I've said it on this show before. I enjoy riding the Pirates at Disney World almost more than Disneyland, even though objectively I feel Disneyland is far better.
Children,
it's
just because it's just weird.
My perspective.
I was going to say, let's talk about this. That was my last question, but we can skip it up. So before you answer, David, follow-up question: what is the best version of Pirates, and why is your daughter wrong?
You broke up for a sec, but I think you were asking my daughter, who Eric caught on film, saying that Pirates at Walt Disney World was better.
What?
Yeah, the question was, what is the best version of Pirates, and why is your daughter wrong?
Breaking news.
You can answer both questions. It was part of the weirdness, Pirates, and which is better. And Eric, then tell us why your children changed his mind.
It's a multi-parter. It feels like an exam. So it definitely it's just not what I'm used to. Like from the outside, going through the janky chain this at Disneyland, queue outside, you pick left or right. It's always right, or always left, I should say. And then you're on the ride. You're right there, and you're in the Blue Bayou, which is obviously, very reminiscent of Pirates from a couple hundred years ago. And then just after that, like the ride just seemed sort of like a different ride at times. It's much shorter. And I think the reason why my daughter liked it more is because she doesn't love Pirates. Pirates is my son's favorite ride. I think the queue's better. Don't get me wrong. But
Brian also expressed that the shorter ride was better.
I think he liked the longer ride. He did miss the pirate water smell. That was the other thing.
Get him on video, okay? You know what? Maybe he's more honest with me than you. I don't know.
And Eric is Brian's new dad. But I would say, like, how do you feel like it's, Dan? I'm just curious. Like, how do you feel like it's weird? Just that it just seems like a different experience, or what sense?
If it's more like, I'm trying to remember the feeling that I had while riding it the first time. It was really the first time that I felt. Granted, I rode it pretty early in my first trip, so it's not like I had several days and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I get it. But I just remember riding it, and there were all of these little tiny like things that like.
They're called children.
Small people. Children. No, so there were aspects of the ride that weren't as dialed in and felt not as thought about as Disneyland's.
Okay.
And it kind of occurred to me that, like, okay, so I'm kind of seeing here that because of the bigness of everything, every little detail has less of a chance to be noticed by everyone, including the people running the place.
Interesting.
So there's a better chance that if, like, let's say, and I'm not one of those people where it's just like, oh, that light used to be on, but like those kinds of things where it's like, if like a bulb goes out, because that's what bulbs do, it's way more likely that it's going to be missed for a longer period of time at Disney World.
And that's in general, not just the ride Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, but that's the moment where you're right. But that's the moment where I noticed it, because it was like some of the lighting was a little bit, to my eye, off, or like there were some parts where like some lights when it, or I don't know why I'm focusing that, but stuff like that. Like some of the lights were like aimed in a way that like kind of like shined in my face at certain points where I'm just like, that wouldn't have happened in Disneyland.
I got you.
And it's just this general feeling of like, well, here's another Pirates ride because we need a Pirates ride.
Right.
Well, yeah, and this is for me and perhaps some of the listeners. Every episode is somebody's first. Famous story. They were not going to build Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World. They're deliberately not going to, because they were so close to the Caribbean. So they're like, we're not doing that. Instead, we're going to do the Western River Adventure, which is this sort of multi-tier, multifaceted kind of a Western Pirates version of the ride. And then they open it like, hey, where's Pirates? Because Walt Disney was on TV a couple of years ago telling me all about it. And then they opened it, where's the Pirates ride? And then funding, oil embargoes, etc. They're like, screw it, no more river adventure. We're doing Pirates. And it is very shoehorned and it feels like it.
Right. Or like another experience for me was like when I was in Tomorrowland for the first time at Disney World. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just hop on the train. And then it turned into, why isn't there a train in Tomorrowland? It would make a lot of sense for one to be there.
There used to be.
And it's not so much that like it's wrong that it's not there. It's just that's what I'm used to. You know,
there used to be.
I'm just saying that younger folks who are not completely committed to the like 7.5 minute pirate experience are saying, you know what? I have enough. I'm content.
It
with
ticks
this
all the
amount
boxes of what you want out of Pirates without all the extra.
Yeah.
So for this TikTok society, they prefer the shorter version because I got the gist. I don't need the bayou. I don't need the slow. I don't need the
kids love.
I don't need the lift back uphill because I'm done with the ride. I'm out.
Right. Yeah. And Mark Davis was all, I don't understand that whole uphill thing. I don't care. How about we just make people get off the boat?
Right.
And that's something that I think we may have talked about before that Disney World does. I don't want to say better, but a lot more exiting the queue in a different area than you load.
Well, there's a lot more space to do that.
And Walt Disney World won that episode, those 2 episodes, clearly. All 3 of those episodes, Walt Disney World won.
Sure didn't.
And nobody can say anything different because I'm lying.
Okay. And there will be an appellate court being introduced to this show sooner than later. Okay. So, David, would you?
I will. By the way, I will file a friend of the court brief for that.
Okay.
episode.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, David, would you go back to Disney World?
Yeah, of course. I felt like even with the amount of time we had there, we barely put a dent in it, to be honest.
And you were there for 3 days.
We were there. We were in the parks we got there Friday night. We were in the parks on Saturday. We were in the parks for half of Sunday after the race.
Right.
We were in the parks on Monday. And then my folks flew back. My daughter flew back to college on Tuesday morning. And then my son and I went into the park for like a few hours and then went to
So it's fair to say 3 total days, 2 full days, a couple half days.
Yep. That sounds about right. Yep.
I have a question for Jimmy and Eric. And this is a purely theoretical question. How long would it take for a person to meaningfully engage in every aspect of Walt Disney World?
I'm sure there's been studies.
1 week.
I mean, every aspect is very broad.
7 days.
Like all the resorts.
Maybe not stay at every resort, but like have enough time in every resort to feel like you've seen it. Maybe not eat at every restaurant, but 7 days, you think?
7 days. 10 days?
10.
A little bit too much. Between 7 and 10 days.
I would say a month.
I would say that like to experience everything.
You need a month.
I would imagine it would take the place is ginormous. I don't.
Yeah.
So at least a week is what we're saying.
No, I'm legit, Dan.
No?
A month
to do. I'd say a month. You would need a month to like fully feel like you did everything.
And I'm talking like. Well, I'm talking like maybe half a day at each water park. You go on the bigger
but I'm saying
slides
like,
at the water park.
Let's say there's 30-something
Jimmy
resorts.
Wants 2 weeks devoted to each mini golf course.
Well,
I'm just saying that's mini golf, full golf, horseback riding,
right?
The hoop-de-doo review,
right?
Like,
I'm talking about all of those things. Like you play a round of golf, you go on a horseback ride. I think a month sounds about right, actually.
And you probably wouldn't be able to do everything. Definitely wouldn't be able to stay in all the hotels, which that's not part of the equation.
That's not part of it. Yeah,
David, how many hotels did you stay in
your life?
Since
answer now.
1969.
God, I don't know. Great question.
Timer going. I'm not telling you how long it's for.
When it's Disneyland, it's been 4 hotels, but 5. No, 5. We stayed just the one. I would say that just seeing how broad everything is, it would have to be like a month just to get everything in.
Yeah.
And I'm not even aware of like a third of the stuff.
So the legit question, kind of piggybacking on it, is when you go back, how long will you stay?
Or
how many days should one go to Walt Disney World to feel like they experienced, without taking a month, which is unrealistic.
Yeah,
regular vacation.
I'd say like at least.
However,
5
if
days.
you would like, if you would like to book a month vacation at Walt Disney
856
World,
hour years.
there it is. Yep.
So a week, 5 days in the parks. So let's call it get there on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the parks, leave Saturday.
Something, yeah. To really feel like you've done a lot of stuff. I mean, you saw and we'll probably get into it in a minute when we talk about like the ride list. Like I barely got through anything in like Hollywood Studios, for example. So
yeah.
So let's say you go. Let's just say you go for a week next time.
Mm-hmm.
Which park would you skip?
Oh,
you can only go to 3.
Animal Kingdom.
Why?
Because you hate animals, clearly.
Because I can't eat the animals as Eric promised me we could. I thought we were.
You didn't get the VIP tour of that.
I thought it was the Kilimanjaro shooting safari, and it was just the shooting was not part of it. No,
they have a special tour where if you can catch the animal with your bare hands, you can eat it, and they'll prepare it.
Good.
That's extra.
Also, humans.
The most dangerous game.
Cannibalism, the ride.
Okay, so
no, the only reason
why?
Reason I say that is because there are, I'd say there's probably 5 or 6 like premier rides, and I did them all. And so if I could not do it, that's the one I would skip. But I really liked Animal Kingdom quite a bit.
Yeah, ironically, the single largest Disney theme park on the planet, with arguably the least to do.
Well, in my experience, Animal Kingdom is the one that I am aware that I am doing the most wrong every time I go, because it would be so nice to just hang out, take in the vibes, sit across the glass from like an orangutan and just be like, "What's up, orangutan? Let's connect, dude." Or lady. Or
hello,
whatever.
Daniel.
Oh, hello.
Would you like tires? A push pop?
I would love one. Thank you so much. Just smush it against the glass, and I will lick it.
All I have is mango.
Okay, so David,
you also have to grab it because his arms are way up here, right? Anyway,
for the record, David was lifting his arms up.
But to your point, I would agree, Dan. Like that, I felt like I didn't experience any of the cool experiential kind of things. I went on all the rides I wanted to go on, but it wasn't like look at these exhibits or these experiences. Right. Which
and in fairness. In fairness to us, it's really, really, I would almost say impossible for many people to get into that zone of like, okay, I have 4 days in this entire giant thing. I'm just going to spend some time on this bench in Animal Kingdom, taking in what old Joe Rogan made for me, you know?
Joe Rody?
Ivermectin. Now, David, kind of a reverse question. Let's suppose you only have 1 day. Like you're flying in, you're going to Miami for work, and you have a layover in Orlando. You have a 12-hour layover. What are you going to do?
Blizzard Beach. Come on, Blizzard Beach.
I guess I'm going to Pleasure Beach. No, I'm going to. I'm probably going to go to Hollywood Studios because I spent very little time there, and then crush that for half the day, and then go to Epcot. And end up at Epcot.
And you, as aforementioned, you could run there.
I could run there. It's easy.
You could walk there, or take a friend ship.
Or you could take a boat, a friend ship.
So, for point of reference, Jimmy, what would be your one to visit and your one to skip? And Eric, same question.
Ooh, I'm not prepared for these questions. I only prepared the questions.
I'll give you mine while you think.
Go ahead, please.
I'm skipping Hollywood Studios. And I'm going to, if it was some time ago, it would be Epcot all the way. I think now it's probably Magic Kingdom.
I think you're right. And here's why I would skip Hollywood Studios as a Disneylander. Tower of Terror, I've got it. Rock and Roller Coaster, I've got Incredicoaster, close enough. Mickey and Minnie's, I've got it. Star Wars Land, I've got it. Star Tours, I've got it. So really, it's just Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular is the only unique thing there.
Oh man, it was so good.
It was pretty fun.
Was it fun to watch when they say, "Oh, this is Harrison Ford's stunt double from 50 years ago"?
It holds up so well.
It does. It is a good show.
It really does.
But to your point, I mean, you could also take the argument and say, well, I could just skip Magic Kingdom because a lot of that is Disneyland as well. Right?
I suppose. Yeah, it's a reasonable argument. But Eric, do you want to answer the question? What do you skip? What do you do?
I'm just gonna hang out at Epcot all day, every day.
Okay. What do you skip?
Oh, skip. Animal Kingdom.
Why?
Even though I love Animal Kingdom and I love the things that you can do there that are different than anywhere else, but it's like,
is it because you couldn't catch an animal with your bare hands during the VIP tour?
Probably.
That's probably it. I'm like going up Everest, and I'm like, you know what? I just really want to grapple an alligator right now.
That's Gatorland.
Eric, Dan.
But you
David.
can grapple an alligator everywhere in Gatorland.
That's true. That's actually one of the experiences you could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's real. Yeah. David, for two final questions. First question is, what is the one ride, if you could choose one, that you wish you would have done but didn't?
Probably Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
You didn't do it. Oh my God. Wow.
Nope.
Worth the price of admission.
We didn't get there.
I know.
So reverse question. What is the one ride you did, but would never do it again?
Small World.
Small World.
Oh no.
And why?
Your daughter was disturbed.
It's just inferior. It's the dolls are creepier. It's this weird, like completely indoor experience. I do like the fact that the water extends all the way out to the various children diorama displays.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
as opposed to the water being contained in the channel.
Yeah, and then you just see the carpet, which seems really weird. But
there was a very brief period of time at Disneyland when the water was
Disneyland was the same way.
No.
Did you experience or notice the windows to Village House and were people putting signs up to have you do stuff?
Yeah.
I think I did see something like that.
They put up a sign that said, "Show me your
Supreme."
David did.
I did.
Showed his
Supreme.
Oh my God. Yeah. They're full display. Can you, it's, Mardi Gras is around the corner and these beads are not going to buy themselves.
I don't know why they have that sign in a family park.
It's true. It is weird. YMCA, I get. Okay, so before we get to rapid fire,
Dad, what's
which
this
is better.
sign? What does this one mean? I don't know. Hold it
up. Where do my babies feed?
Before we get to rapid fire, which is better, Dan and Eric, do you have any questions that I did not cover that you'd like to cover for David in his first experience to Walt Disney World? Starting with Dan.
I don't know if this is one of your questions or not, but I know you've listened to, I think, probably every episode. I think you're the only person on the planet that's listened to every episode of ours, or not, and it's fine if not. What did we get wrong, and what did we get the most right?
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
It could be a general thing.
Walt Disney World Pirates won, right?
No.
Okay, Disneyland Pirates. Okay. Haunted Mansion. Walt Disney World Haunted Mansion won. Is that right?
We don't talk about that on this show.
That's correct.
Okay. Nobody knows.
I'd say that one.
But that is going to be one of the appellate things now that the queues are changing and whatnot.
I'd say that the one thing I did notice. There was a lot. The emphasis that you all put on the queues and kind of the pre-ride experience is a big deal. They do it pretty well at Walt Disney World, and so as I go back and I'll probably listen to some of the episodes, it just gives a frame of reference now. Like, okay, now I understand why they made such a big deal about because the queues at Disneyland are especially if you're like Fantasyland or other, they're just a bunch of switchbacks. There's not that much there. Maybe there's like a hidden Mickey or something, but
no.
Note to listener, if you go to Disney World for the first time, you'll finally enjoy our show.
Well, and also if you want to create hidden Mickeys in the queues in Fantasyland, you just get 3 quarters and put them together.
No, 1 quarter and 2 nickels, Dan. They have to be.
That's true. That's true.
Rub them. Keep rubbing.
Do you want to finish the question, or are we good with that?
I think that's the question. Yeah.
Okay.
David.
Eric.
When it comes down to connecting your passes with the other passes of your party.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Which coast makes sense and which coast is absolute freaking nonsense?
Yes, indeed. It's a great question. We have not covered that yet, have we?
We need to have a whole episode on this.
The app experience. My Disney experience versus Disneyland
They haven't
app.
fixed this?
No.
Oh my God.
It did occur to me. It's funny. In the lead up for the show, I was going to recommend you have to do the apps. Yeah. I do like the one thing I do like about the Disney World apps. I do like the fact that they display there was something about the ride weights. They displayed it in a way that was different than Disneyland, which I liked.
You can choose the time that you go, right?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Disney World for lightning lanes, you can choose the time. Isn't that something that they do there?
I think so.
I think it was
If
the
you
first
log
available.
in at 7 a.m., you can pick your time.
Okay. Got it. But once the park opens, you're just kind of whatever they give you.
Well, yeah, it's like Disneyland.
But for context, for the question, for the listener who does not know, you go to Disneyland and the 4 of us are going to go together. Dan bought his ticket on his app. Eric has his. David has his. I have mine. If you were to go to Disney World, there is maybe no chance in hell for you to link the 4. It's very difficult. You have to, each one of you has to go on to your thing and you have to request that you're managed by someone else. David couldn't manage me. I couldn't manage Eric. Only one person can manage all people. You can't manage each other.
Now, here's the interesting thing is that you can do all of that stuff beforehand with Walt Disney World. But at Disneyland, you have to stand around in a circle and go, let's scan each other's
little barcode.
Barcodes. Yeah. What's better is can you plan ahead at Walt Disney World versus Disneyland where you're a bunch of assholes standing around scanning each other's
but you only have to do it
phones.
once. So wait. I have an experience.
Yeah, wait.
I have an experience.
This is a whole show.
And I have an experience with I had 12 people with me at Disney World. We all bought tickets on 12 separate apps, and it was impossible for us to we had to stand together. 1, 2, 3, go, get your lightning lane. And none of them were the same.
You know what? Disney World does not tolerate singles. They don't want
tolerate
single
spontaneity
men
is what it is.
going to their parks.
Yeah, that
was
was
fair.
That is one of the single rider things, just not real, which is weird to me.
Only 4.
But I will say that the accessing the parks, that's one of the things I forgot to mention, was very easy. Security lines were very short. It's
gosh.
Well,
very efficient.
no, you don't have to put your bag up. You just walk through a metal detector. It checks your temperature. It checks your metal. It's you just walk straight through.
It detects your Dan level. How much Dan are you? All right, you're good. Keep walking. Keep walking. Don't slow down.
Factor.
Oh, he slowed down. He's a Dan. All right.
I got pulled over and frisked because my Dan factor was too high. So
yeah.
Well,
but I got in.
Now you know what it's like.
Wow.
That part was good. That part was I don't know why they don't do that at Disney.
It's surprising because the technology exists. I've been to other places in recent past where it was that same sort of metal detector, just walk through.
You know why it doesn't exist?
Coca-Cola in Atlanta.
You know why it doesn't exist at Disneyland? This is a real answer, is because they've been waiting for Disneyland Forward. And why do that construction? Why bring in those things when you're just going to rebuild them somewhere else?
I guess. Or move them. Yes. Rapid fire. Okay. David, here we go.
How about security when you leave? Yeah.
Yes.
How many souvenirs did you take with you? How many titty birds did you shove into your bag?
What is your bank account as you leave?
Do you have Buzzy?
Did you take how many sets of 3D glasses did you take with you? Right.
Okay, so David, we're going to do some rapid fire now for our listener. I'm going to read off a ride that you did and its counterpart at Disneyland, and I'm going to have you tell me which is better and briefly why.
Okay.
You ready? All right, here we go.
Wait, hold on. Before you get there, is the castle on there?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. Expedition Everest or Matterhorn?
I will say Expedition Everest.
Why?
I will tell a funny story. So we are riding on the ride. It is my 2 kids are in front of me. I'm sitting next to Eric, and Mike is in the car behind us. And we're going up, 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 up. And it looks, and I look, and I'm like, are we going to do a loop-de-loop? And Eric's like, no, we're going backwards. And at that point in time, it fly backwards. And I am just like, what is going on here? I thought it was going to be like the Matterhorn, and I was completely wrong. But it's definitely a little more thrilling.
Clearly, he does not listen to every episode.
I don't like. There's nothing I like about like getting on the Matterhorn. Even the single ride line is like not a great experience. I don't like the queue. I do like
it's no web slingers, that's for sure.
It's no web slingers, as we've determined. There's no air conditioning. So. Don't worry, it'll be one of the few victories for Walt Disney World, but we'll see.
I see. Okay, Cali River Rapids versus Grizzly River Run.
It's not even close. That's just an insulting question.
How many children fired water into your face?
None. I was surprised. Like that. There's only one fall. It was like not quick to get on. There's no single rider line for some reason because they hate single people in Florida. Don't say single, as the expression goes. And while I like the idea of people splashing the water, I can also see why that'd be irksome to people. So I'd say.
How much shame did you feel about forestation? Deforestation.
I just had that little single tear, the recycle video from the.
Did 70s. You plant a tree when you got home?
Oh yeah, I did. Clearly.
Perfect. Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Mission accomplished.
Dinosaur or Indiana Jones?
I prefer Indiana Jones. Because I will say I just like the theming more.
How much mustard is in Indiana Jones?
How many ketchup, mustard, and mayo lines?
I did like the fact that they had one of my favorite pictures from the event was the dinosaur snap picture they do at the very end or during the ride. That was a lot of fun. My daughter actually likes dinosaur more than Indiana Jones.
I've actually come around to in hearing people's discussions about this because I watch all the YouTubes and everything. I can actually come around to the idea that a person could potentially like dinosaur better. I'm not that person. I like Indiana Jones far better. I like seeing things and I like the theme.
I was going to say you can actually see what's going on.
Yeah, it was pretty dark.
But I can understand if someone is in it just for like jump scares, then sure, dinosaur makes sense.
David's kids seemed into it.
Yeah, my daughter.
Based on the photos.
Yeah, they liked it. It was just, again, I'm glad you made the point about it is really dark and hard to see.
Yeah. Dark and loud.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to Epcot.
That's what she said. Hey-o.
Okay. Moving on to Epcot. Grand Fiesta Tour or Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the rescue.
Oh, you did Grand Fiesta Tour.
I did, and I didn't love it. I would say Monsters Inc. is better.
What?
I do like. I like the boat ride within the restaurant plaza area. It was kind of different, but don't love the theming of the ride. Like it could be a pretty cool ride. Just the 3 loud ducks is just not my thing.
At one point, it was a pretty cool ride.
Was it?
I agree.
Yeah, used to be.
Yep.
Okay, soaring around the world or soaring over California, but I guess in general, the living with the land the land pavilion version versus the whatever flats version, Condor Flats.
So if you're okay, it sounded like there were 2 questions. One was, do I prefer soaring over?
No, go ahead and answer that question.
Everyone prefers soaring over California.
I think you're right.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so if let's say they're both soaring around the world, which they are currently, I think, which one is better? The one at Epcot, the one at DCA?
Probably Epcot. I think because it loads quicker. And
damn!
The queue at Walt Disney at Disneyland, the queue at Disneyland is just it's underwhelming. It could be a lot better.
So boring.
Yeah.
She does want faster loaders. Okay.
Yeah. So the Epcot also, there's like in the queue, there's interactive game with questions and stuff.
Yep.
Both quite boring.
She loves trivia. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Hollywood Studios. Star Tours, which is better?
They seem pretty similar. I'd say the major difference is that they're just more ride vehicles at Disney World, which I think is like a shorter wait. I think that's
also the queue is better at Disney World.
How many giant vehicles were outside?
7? I don't know. So I would probably I'd have to see it again. I don't have like a real strong impression of either one.
Yeah, the rides are roughly the same.
Your daughter, like when we got to the top of the lift or the top of the ramp where she went, how many rides are there here?
Yeah.
Like
there's so many rooms. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So for that reason, I'll give it to Disney World.
Okay.
Did you find it odd that you were riding Star Tours like 3 feet away from Galaxy's Edge?
It was real dumb.
No, it was real great.
I
changed the word dumb to awesome.
Every ride should end in Batuu, and you should walk through a tunnel or at least have an option.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving on to the Magic Kingdom for the win. David, which castle is better?
Disneyland.
And why?
The Disney World is too much. It's like a hat on a hat.
It's too much.
It's like a hat on a hat.
I heard that. I saw there's a video, people. Eric, where can they find the video of David's reaction to the castle?
That's been redacted.
You can find it on my phone. So if you send me a text, I will share it with you. But
856 our ears for David's video reaction.
You could post that on the group, right?
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
Oh, the Supreme Resort group. Go to facebook.com/Supreme Resort. David will post.
Fake.
Also, if anyone wants to create a subreddit for us, that's probably a better place for us. Not because we're Redditors by any stretch of the imagination, but because Facebook is a mess.
And so are the opinions of the people on this show, other than me.
So, David, I guess for the whole panel here, should he not post the video to our Supreme Resort group?
I think he should.
I think you should. Okay.
Yeah.
Big Thunder Mountain, which is better?
I like the queue at Disney World more. I like the ride at Disneyland more. It's got the explosion scene, which it doesn't have. So I'll give it to Disneyland.
You're correct. Tomorrowland Speedway.
Wrong.
Did you write it or did Brian write it?
Brian wrote it, but he gave his opinion. He said the cars are slower. It's very hot. Do it if it's a short ride, but he thought Disneyland was better.
Okay, agreed.
I think the cars go the same speed, but they feel slower because the ride is more boring.
It's it's big and hot. Okay, next question. Pirates of the Caribbean, I think we covered. Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin or Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters?
I like Well, okay, so a couple things. Well, actually, I like Astro Blasters. And the reason is you only have one shape at Walt Disney World. And so, and you can't, it's also affixed to the buggy. So you can't.
You like moving your hands?
It's like a baby's toy.
I'm trying to get some strength work in by holding the gun. Actually, the photo that you get is 1,000% better though. The one at Disneyland is just like some 2D it looks terrible. It's
score one for on-ride photos, I guess. Huh?
Score one for on-ride photos for sure. Yeah, no,
that's another episode we should do.
Wait, I've already written it down. Remember we said it a few minutes ago. That's the next March Madness is on-ride photos. And then Dan said you have to send in your on-ride photos, and then David said you got to get one of the presidents from the Hall of Presidents. You'll listen back. Haunted Mansion and David.
It's the Disneyland. I don't like the building.
Dan just strangled himself with his own entrails.
I love the queue. The outside queue is great. We got the little quiz with the 5 headstones that Eric told me about, which I still haven't solved yet, but I will. Now, whether you like it or not, once you get off of the stretching room and you have at Disneyland, you have the hallway that you walk down and you get to see the displays. Once you get off at Walt Disney World, you're just on. Mm-hmm.
And the portraits are in the ride as opposed to in the queue.
The portraits are in the ride. The
moving busts are in the ride.
Yep. But the photos are great. Like that's exceptional.
2 for onboard photos.
Here's something I've never really been able to like quantify with people. The extra scenes at the Disney World Haunted Mansion, do they to you not feel more janky than the rest of the
the Ghost Writers room? There's nothing. There's no jank.
It's just
and then you move into another room where the eyes blend into the wallpaper.
It is jankless. It's jankless.
Some of the effects are great, but
jank free.
It just feels like 80% of the quality of the rest of the ride. It's like, here's parts that are added on. They're a little bit more like, it's just like a hair more of a Carney experience.
How many profanity?
I don't know. You're the one editing it.
You're editing.
Not it.
Okay, moving on. Space Mountain.
Hold on. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, do you not?
No.
Okay, wait. Do you two? Are you? No. Here's the thing. It's not that people don't immediately go like, I completely agree. You're absolutely right. But the response every time I bring this up to anybody is like, we have no idea what you're talking about. We don't see any reduction in quality. And to that, I have to say, like, do you not have standards?
Both rides were developed at the exact same time in the same place.
I'm just saying that. Okay, you know what?
You're saying that. No. I want to hear what you're saying. That the part of the ride is jankier. At which part?
The part the part of the ride that isn't at Disneyland that is extra. Mm-hmm. Seems That's very better. Much to me like it seems very much to me like the quality compared to the rest of the ride at Florida is slightly less. The quality of the effects, like the piano player does. I know it's a visual, but it's this. Instead of more of a fluid motion.
Are you saying Floridians don't know how to play a piano?
I'm just saying that I see things and I'm able to recognize when the quality of a thing is not as good. That's it.
Yeah. I think Disneyland's better.
Okay, great. So, David, Space Mountain, which is better?
This is why I can't be involved in the Applehead version of Haunted Mansion.
David,
I liked this. Might be controversial. I actually think I like the Walt Disney World version.
And why?
The ride is, I think, more thrilling. You're definitely like jostled around quite a bit more versus the track at Disneyland, especially if you've ridden a few times. It's like left, right, left. It's this kind of more predictable pattern, if you will. Mm-hmm. It could also just be like the first time I've ridden it.
I was going to say, is that because of repetition?
It could also be because of repetition. And so,
did you like the other cars on the track? Seeing them,
he held out a pole and he knocked somebody out of a car.
I did. Well, it was a selfie stick, and I just wanted a photo. I didn't know that there'd be a photo on it. But
did you enjoy the contemplation time at the end?
I did like the part where like, okay, this is over, and oh no, it's not over. It's still going on.
Peter Pan's Flight.
I would say probably Walt Disney World, mostly because we got on it pretty quick. The queue, it was so it's a better queue.
Yeah,
take that, Daniel.
We got on it pretty quickly. I don't. The ride I thought was relatively the same. Maybe I'm wrong there. I think also part of it too is I resent the fact that for whatever reason at Disneyland it's just such a sought after ride that it's always, unless you get the rope drop, it's always like 45 minutes.
Dan considers you wrong, and I don't care.
And I might be wrong. I've only ridden it one time at Walt Disney World. I could have been loopy by that point in time.
Did you enjoy the part where you went through the Darling residence and then came out and you were in
what?
in Fantasyland?
The Sally family and I basically walked through the line looking at our phones because we were bored as F.
Yep.
What does F stand for?
Fantasy.
Fallacy.
So, David, we'd already talked about Small World. You thought that the Disneyland one was better, and we kind of went through that a little bit already.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the Mad Tea Party.
I would say that the teacups at Disneyland are superior. I would say that because it's not covered. I like the lights. It's a different experience, daytime and nighttime. And I will say that the cups spun pretty quickly. I don't know if they're faster. My son got pretty nauseous by the end, which was kind of the stated goal.
He threw up everywhere.
He just threw it because it was like, he's like, "Hey, Dad, I want to be like you when first time you're on a plane."
Airplane.
Yeah, exactly. Except that we didn't have a bag, so he just like threw up in the teacup, and they just had to, shut it down.
I have a follow-up question for It's a Small World. You said that Small World overall was a much creepier experience. Did that make the Heaven Room more like clear that they were all dead?
The Heaven Room was better, in my opinion, based on our discussions.
If you're a new listener, just to describe, we've determined on this show that the last scene in It's a Small World, in which you see many of the dolls that you've seen before, is actually heaven because they're all wearing white and they're all dead.
I hadn't thought about that. I've just felt like some of it was like just creepier. I didn't like the indoor piece at all. That just seemed weird. Now I will say this: if you tell me that Walt Disney World is 2/3 the length, I think it's shorter, and that's one big bonus for Walt Disney World. That ride is super long. It doesn't need to be that long.
That's something I need to hold on to for our actual show that we do on this eventually.
Did you ride the train at all?
We did not.
Oh,
we did not. We did not ride the train. We rode from a public transportation perspective. We took the ferry boat in.
Mm-hmm.
We did Lyft. I'm trying to think.
Up Main Street. That's a new feature.
We took the bus back from Magic Kingdom on day 4. I think that was it.
In the parks, we did the Skyliner.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was. I forgot about that one. That's one. Yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
That's good. I wasn't super happy, but still.
I have another lightning round pick for you. People Mover versus a weird collection of shade that kind of just lingers throughout Tomorrowland and gathers leaves.
Well, now I'm an avid leaf collector.
Yes.
Right. And so I see that bonanza.
Well, you're an editor I know you're one of the editors of Leaf Fancy, which is a magazine that is very popular with.
And I appreciate your
Fancy. Final listener, the reason I'm asking about the particular attractions, I have a list of everything David went on. So if you're saying, how come you didn't ask about Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, etc., he didn't go on it. So the last one he went on, Jungle Cruise. David, which is better?
Oh.
So as I recall, the differences, part of my perspective was when we tried to get on the ride, it was late at night and couldn't find how to get to the ride. So that was kind of on me. That was after losing my kids. And
weird. Couldn't find that giant tower.
I couldn't. No, it was dark. I couldn't see it. Anyway, I'm blind as a bat. Anyway, I still like the original Jungle Cruise at Disneyland, I think, more. Now, the one thing, you have that extended room where they've got extra displays. People are shaking their heads.
The tiger and the...
Nodding, by the way. We were nodding, not shaking our heads.
Okay. I like the ride person wasn't like saying anything at all during that time. I don't know if they're prohibited from saying it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind. I thought it was like some sort of like,
I need a break. I'm sitting down.
Yeah, I'm tired of like shooting guns and telling jokes.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense.
Okay. Well, there you go. So that is David's first trip to Walt Disney World, or Walt David's World. We're very happy that you came on to share your experiences. Dan and Eric, do you have any other questions for David, R.E., his trip to Disney World?
Why are you glossing over David's experience on the Jungle Cruise? Is there something that you're hiding?
I like I said, I prefer the original Disneyland one. If they were to bring back live animals, Walt Disney World, I think, would be the supreme ride.
Bring back live animals?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, Disneyland, I think, was anticipated to have, at one point in time, either had or was planned to have live animals. I think
that was like a brief idea in the 50s.
Yeah.
And at Disney World,
turned it into Kilimanjaro safaris.
Right. And at Disney World, too many people on the VIP tour were able to catch the animals with their bare hands. So
that is the theme of this episode.
Them. Yep.
Too close.
That's the joke I've decided to keep calling back to.
All right.
I have only one last question for David. David, if you were to go back to Walt Disney World, is there a specific travel planning service that you would use?
Oh, I would use concierge without question.
Why?
Well, because you guys would never talk to me again if I said something. If I said Magic Touring or some other made up, I don't know any other ones. That's the other. No, but I've used concierge. So great. So 876 hour years. Is that right?
856 hour
Damn.
years.
I've never gotten it right.
Concierge.com. Hey, the concierge folks are going to be all together as one in June. So this episode will come out before we're there. We're there June 9th through the 12th. So if you happen to be in Southern California at the Disneyland area and would like to meet up, come on down. We'll be there. Dan, Eric, and I will all be there.
We'll all be at Medieval Times.
It will be at Medieval Times on the 12th. Or the 13th? 12th. It will be on the 12th. So if you want to go to Medieval Times and meet us there, we'll be there. Dan and I will be at Knott's on the 12th. Eric and Dan will be at the Knott's on the 13th. Eric will be on a VIP tour for the special concierge.
If you'd like to flip me off while I'm on my plaid tour, please.
I will.
Go through concierge
that day, though. So
we're going to Knott's. We're going to flip you off from Buena Park. Okay, so yes, thank you, David, for being here. Thank you, listener, for listening. Again, this is not an advertisement intentionally, but well done, Dan. If you would like to try your first trip to Disney World, call a concierge, a group of very, very professional experts. It is big, as David had pointed out. There's a lot. It's a lot to take in. He had Eric, fortunately, to kind of guide him through it because he'd been there so many times. But if you've never been and you don't have Eric to join you, call a concierge. We will help you do a full touring plan and walk you through the entire resort, what to do, what not to do, that kind of thing.
And perhaps our next episode will be recorded during a concierge meeting.
As a matter of fact, one of the next episodes you may hear will be from us.
I have so many microphones.
Yes, so many microphones. But if you like what you hear, then please rate and review our show. We have quite a few reviews nowadays, and we have a couple of new ones I'd like to share. This one is from SoCal Band Director. SoCal Band Director says, SeaWorld update. Great info, Tom. I have been concerned about the Bayliner for years. However, I do disagree about ownership. The Harcourt Brace Jovanovich was very educational.
I just wanted to provide a correction to that. That was not Tom. That was Jeff Butthole.
Sorry, great info, Jeff Butthole. Okay, and this one, perhaps related. This one is from Marquita. I'm going to say Marquita, or Marikita, Marikita. Marikita says, love this show. This review is 2 years in the making because I wanted to leave it once I caught up with all the episodes. Eric, Jimmy, and Dan are so funny, and I absolutely love listening to their banter. I love that they do so much research and share lots of new information. As an avid Disney parks goer, I enjoy that I usually learn at least one new thing each episode. I'm not a huge fan of the other theme park episodes, but I'm happy just to skip them and keep going.
Sorry, David.
Thank you, SoCal Band Director and Marikita, for your reviews. Both 5 stars, by the way, I should have said.
Yes, thank you. And by the way, Marikita, you are not alone in that opinion. However, we will probably continue to share our podcast with other theme park.
That is correct.
Podcasts.
But skip
next
ahead
episode, Meow Wolf versus Meow Wolf.
Oh. Okay, so and then of course we have we already talked about Concierge. We have other shows on the network, EarzUp, which is not devolving in any way. We have David's show Puny Pod, which is about Ant-Man only. Mm-hmm. And occasionally they'll talk about other MCU podcasts. How is Puny Pod going, David?
Pretty well, actually. We've I think we're starting to hit our stride. I've listened to some of the early episodes, and this is not easy what you all do. So
some of our early is not great.
No, we just finished with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We are watching Spider-Man Homecoming. So I'm doing my regular level of over preparation for that. And and then we'll review we're going to get together tomorrow or Monday and record. He just came back from the parks. He went on a Disney cruise. And so we're going to share some stories.
Yes, Ryan was there for quite a while.
Yeah.
He'll be our next guest. Okay, so in the meantime, the Scraping the Vault. The Scraping the Vault people are back. the Vaultineers are back.
I think
better than ever.
I think we'll slowly uncover what's been going on with us.
Yeah. Anyway, we're back.
Yeah.
The Vaultineers are back, and we just finished and are about to release Fox and the Hound 2. Fox and the Hound 2. Mm-hmm. And Eric, by the way, I have to say, I listened to the last episode. It was this part 2 of the Run Disney. And the way you phrased Scraping the Vault in everything has been leading up to Cinderella 3 Twist in Time was just fantastic. Very well done.
I can't wait until this damn movie.
I know. It's and I probably saw it 25 years ago in Dan's bedroom, like drinking Natty Ice or something. I don't know. Yep. I just remember loving it.
Probably Milwaukee's best. I think that's what I was into at the time.
Well, and also I think it was 2007. But
also, speaking of roping them little fillies, if you want to listen to Eric and I spread some madness about David Bowie, Bowie's Planning is the podcast.
And the Star Wars show, the Bantha Milk show, they're getting excited about Acolyte. And they're the only ones.
That's the show. Yeah.
All right. So rate and review, et cetera, other shows, et cetera, 856 our ears. And until next time.
Well Ryan Airy's dog is excited about it, right?
Ryan Airy, he's great.
And his dog.
Ryan Airy's dog is so cute. What's going to happen anyway? Okay. Till next time, be good to each other. And court is adjourned.
You're the same breeder.
I mean, everybody dies, Dan. Death and taxes. I'm just saying.
No few people believe me when I tell them that you're actually the darker one of the two.
Oh, no.
I have been in the sun.
Yeah, if you would like to subscribe to Leaf Fancy
or Fancy Leaf
or Fancy Leaf, yes. Either way, the
Fancy Leaf is the Spanish publication.
if you want seeds for leaves through Amazon, use the coupon code
Leaf
LFFEE, which is LFEEEEEEEECY.
.go.com.
Yeah.
And
search
you will get
for that on Amazon.
You'll get 1.5% off of your seed order through Amazon.
That's what she said.
Okay.
So next